Green Bay Packers quarterback Jordan Love is the quarterback that you need to trade for in your Dynasty leagues right now. All that more this episode of the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast.
You are Locked On Dynasty Football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Here are your hosts, Marcus Mosher and Kate Madjuk.
Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. Today's episode is brought to you by birddogs. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnNFL and enter promo code LockedOnNFL for a white tech hat with any order. You won't want to take your bird dogs off. We promise you. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. You can follow me on Twitter at Marcus_Mosher. Joining me today, as always, is Kate Madjuk. You can follow her on Twitter at Kate Madjuk. Just a little programming note. Kate and I are going to be doing all 5 shows this week. Matt and Ryan have the week off. They will be back next week, but it's Kate and I talking about all the players that you need to trade for when you are rebuilding. And let's start at quarterback, Kate, with Jordan Love. What are your thoughts on Jordan Love going into the year?
My thoughts on Jordan Love are you're going to have to work your sales pitch magic, Marcus.
Yes.
You threw this at me here and I was like, I can't wait to hear what Marcus has to say buying into Jordan Love. Now, I'm not saying you can't sell me, right? Like, obviously you look at the ADP, like he's an affordable quarterback. And what I said to you prior to the show is it's like, it doesn't feel to me like there's a ton of great value for a team rebuilding at the quarterback position in general. Like there's nobody that screams to me like true rebuild. You have to chase. But right now, like Jordan Love, what's his ADP at? QB 19. Like not bad. So value, he hits that check mark. Youth, that's great. He's not even 25 years old yet. Great. But what's the ceiling with Jordan Love? He's dealing with a lot of young offensive weapons. Let's hear your pitch for why we should be buying Jordan Love this offseason.
First of all, I think you're wrong. I think there's plenty of great options if you're rebuilding at quarterback. And I couldn't even fit them all into a rundown. That's how many I think there are. But
my goodness.
My favorite is Jordan Love for a couple different reasons. Number one, first round draft capital. That matters. That means a team, especially the Packers, aren't going to give up on him with one bad season. They've already given him a contract extension to give him some more guaranteed money over the next 2 years. So he is locked in as a starter. He's mobile. He likes to run a little bit. He's not Justin Fields or Anthony Richardson or anything like that, but that is definitely a part of his game. They've got a really good offensive line. They've got some playmakers that we really like, including Christian Watson. They drafted Jaden Reed. Luke Musgrave looks like to be a really good option. And it just doesn't cost anything. And I think this is a chance that with Matt LaFleur, who is widely respected as one of the best offensive minds in the NFL, there's just so many things to like, and I don't have to pay top 18 prices here. I'm paying low-end QB2 for a first-round pick quarterback that's only, how old is he, 24 years old right now?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like a screaming steal to me. If he plays well for like a 4-game stretch this year, he's going to be up inside the top 14 quarterbacks. Like that's just the way it's going to be. I want to buy it now before he gets extended run with Green Bay.
I think that's fair. I mean, we've seen every month since it sort of became official that Aaron Rodgers would be on the move. He wasn't retiring. Like we've seen a month by month increase in his ADP. This is the highest it's ever been. Players going around him like that aren't quarterbacks. Like he's really kind of the only player in this specific range. Like Steelers running back Jalen Warren, 49ers running back Elijah Mitchell. Trey McBride, Tyler Algier. So the nice thing about Jordan Love, like let's say you're in like a dynasty startup. Obviously, this is a rebuilding podcast, but like it feels like the players that are being similarly valued are not players that you're going to have a lot of FOMO about.
No,
that's fear of missing out for you youths. It doesn't feel like you're giving up a lot. So let's look at some recent trades for Jordan Love. Jordan Love for Denver Broncos running back Tony Jones and a 2024 second round pick.
I mean, come on, Kate.
I don't even know who Tony Jones is.
Yeah.
Jordan Love. This one's more interesting. Assuming this is a super flex. Let's see. Jordan Love for the 406 and a 2024 first round pick. This is Devi. Never mind. This is Devi.
Okay.
Whew, okay. A lot of interesting value. 2025 first round pick for Jordan Love and Deuce Vaughn.
Oh, yeah. I don't even know if Deuce Vaughn is going to make the Cowboys roster. So you're giving up a pick 2 years for now in a super flex league all day.
Okay.
It's just what's the biggest fear with Jordan Love? Is it that he's just not good at playing football? Like if that's the case, you cut him and you move on. It's just not that big of a deal. You're paying low end QB2 prices. But what if he's
my concern comes
average?
more like if he's average, then I feel like I can go and trade for similar assets. Like for example, Marcus, this is the trade that kind of is tripping me up in terms of evaluation. Jordan Love for Christian Kirk and Kirk Cousins. It's a Kirk package.
Full double Kirk.
Kirk. I'm taking Kirk Cousins there all day. Like, I feel like it's going to be really hard, like ideal situation from a production standpoint, different players, but from a production standpoint, if I've got Jordan Love, I'm thinking, all right, well, the ceiling that I'm probably going to see out of Jordan Love is somewhere around what Kirk Cousins has produced, the low end QB1.
But remember, the goal here is if you're rebuilding, right? Because you don't necessarily Kirk Cousins might be too good this year to be your QB2. You want to have somebody that can gain some value and maybe help you next year. That's where I think Jordan Love is like the perfect guy.
You don't think Kirk Cousins will help you next year as well?
I just don't know because we're getting to the point where how old is Kirk Cousins now? Almost 35?
34. Yeah, he's going to be turning 35 next week. But
And,
still,
we just quarterback. It's true, but there's just no rushing upside. I don't know if he's going to be in Minnesota next year, which means I don't know if he's going to be throwing to Justin Jefferson. If I'm rebuilding and my goal is to not compete this year, I would love to flip Kirk Cousins for Jordan Love because now I get an upside player at quarterback. And if Jordan Love is only average or slightly below average, that's actually going to help me get a higher pick and potentially maybe still increase my value at quarterback. So that to me, that's a trade I would like to make.
Christian Kirk side, like
that's a little harder because Kirk, I really like Kirk. I actually like him more than Calvin Ridley in Dynasty by quite a bit. But if it's just straight up, I'd rather just have Jordan Love for a rebuilding team.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay, let's talk about some other quarterbacks, Kate, because there are some other ones out there that we are really interested in, including a certain first-round pick for the Colts. We'll get to that one next. This episode is brought to you by Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs make you look so good. Bird Dogs stretch khaki shorts are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and the leg, giving you a truly sculpted look. Bird Dog shorts do the exact same thing as Lululemon, but they just fit way better. They fit better than regular shorts that are made of a stiff, restricting cotton. Bird Dogs have fixed this issue by inventing cloud knit fabric that looks and feels just like a khaki, but stretches. So this way you get a slimmer fit without having to sacrifice movement. Bird Dogs use anti-stink sweat wicking fabric that keep you cool and dry all day long. I absolutely love my Bird Dogs. They actually just sent us a package the other day. I went out and bought 2 more pairs of some of the longer pants just for fall as we get closer. They're absolutely amazing. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnNFL or enter promo code LockedOnNFL for a free white tech hat with your order. That is birddogs.com/LockedOnNFL or promo code LockedOnNFL for a free white tech hat. You won't want to take your Bird Dogs off. We promise you. Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. Every day, we're going to be back tomorrow talking about some of the running back targets that you should go out and try to acquire if you are rebuilding. So make sure you tune in for that. Today, we're taking a look at some quarterbacks. Kate, the one player that you are really excited about on this list is Anthony Richardson. Make the case.
It's kind of interesting because I feel like I've progressively gotten warmer on Anthony Richardson throughout the offseason. Even in the pre-draft process, I knew the ceiling was high, but I think I was just very lukewarm on how low his floor could be as a passer. But the more I look into it, the more we hear some really positive things about the plays extending, not just from the big plays we saw in college, but like we are seeing those translate in the limited practices he's had this far. Now the kicker, he's got to earn the starting job officially, but it sounds like he's there.
Or
Now
will
like
be quickly, right? I mean, if
will
he
be
doesn't start
quickly
week
like
1, it'll be by week 4.
yeah, like he's very, very close to there. Now, the kicker for me just comes back to what a cheat code the Russian quarterback is. Like this is a guy that has very few touches. He's not necessarily the most experienced quarterback. That's a knock for him as a passer. Obviously, he struggled with some accuracy issues, but like from a raw player perspective, like it's really hard not to be all in on Anthony Richardson. Like coming out of Florida, the athleticism, shined as a deep passer, largely in part of that arm strength. But looking at the floor, I actually, after doing some research, I think it's a little bit higher than I would have thought. Since 2019, there have been 12 total instances where a quarterback has averaged 19 or more fantasy points per game while throwing for fewer than 250 passing yards. What they all have in common, every single one except for one of those instances, averaged 40 or more rushing yards per game. And that seems like a very feasible mark for
10 yards a
Anthony
quarter.
Richardson. 10 yards a quarter. That's he could feasibly break off 40 of those yards in a single play.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't bat an eye. Like the one instance where a quarterback did not throw or did not rush for 40 or more rushing yards, but had fewer than 250 passing yards. That was Ryan Tannehill in 2020 when he was lights out efficient. Like broke all of the rules of what a quarterback should be doing, especially for fantasy. Richardson's size, speed, all of that just lends itself to being a superstar. And I think I'm finally, even though the ADP is high, right? Like being drafted right now on average QB9. I think I'm willing to take the plunge, just given the youth, given the upside. And like if I'm in a rebuild mode, I think that he is the perfect guy to start your next franchise with.
Right, because what's the goal of the rebuild is to, for the most part, tear it down for a year and then build it back up so you can win in the future. If you compare him to the other 9 quarterbacks going in the top 10, Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, Burrow, Jackson, Herbert, Lawrence, Fields, Watson, all other 9 quarterbacks, I feel pretty confident saying are going to outscore him this year in fantasy, unless he's just this rookie revelation. But what Richardson could do is struggle early on, but by the second half of the season, really start to get better and improve and kind of improve his stock for your fantasy team. So he helps you in two senses. Like he could get better as the year goes on, improve his value, and he might help you lose some early season games, especially if you're starting him, which helps you get a better draft pick, which helps you kind of retool this team. You guys get the whole idea here. My only knock here is it's just the price, right? Like if you're rebuilding, you typically want to hold on to as many draft picks as possible. If you're going to go out and try to draft, if you're going to draft Richardson in like a super flex leagues, he's either going to be your number 1 or number 2 pick. If you're trying to trade for him now, it's going to be really hard to go out and get him. That's the only thing.
My favorite trade here, and I'm noticing, like this is the best trade right here. Like this is, the I think, I think what you have to do, right, is take a quarterback that already has some value, is a known and proven asset, and break that quarterback down. I think the pathway to making Anthony Richardson your rebuilding quarterback is taking one of these safer assets like a Justin Fields, who, maybe not even is all that much more safe, honestly, than Justin Fields. taking that safer asset and breaking it down to Anthony Richardson plus. Like, for example, this is actually a pretty old trade, so I don't think this would currently stand in a league, but I want you to take the idea here. Anthony Richardson, again, this would never happen nowadays. Anthony Richardson, Jahan Dotson, George Pickens, and 2024 first round pick for Joe Burrow. Now,
that's a lot.
It's a lot. It would never happen, but I want you to take the concept of Joe Burrow for Anthony Richardson plus, or like one of these players that's ranked above Richardson, who maybe is considered a little bit safer by most fantasy managers, and using that as your leverage and breaking that piece down. Now,
well, let me give you like a hypothetical.
Yeah.
Like, would you trade Joe Burrow for Anthony Richardson and Jordan Addison?
Yes.
Like, I think that's the
in a rebuild. Yes.
I think that's what you're looking to do. Something like that, where you're downgrading at quarterback pretty clearly for this year, because Burrow's going to help you win too many games, but you're getting Richardson and another asset, whether it's a wide receiver, a young tight end that you like. I think you're on track. The other way that you could do this, Kate, is if you have a similarly ranked quarterback. So let's say it's, I don't know, Tua. Right. And I think everybody knows that Tua is going to have a big year, assuming he's healthy. Maybe you do a Tua and pick a little bit more of an aging receiver, a Terry McLaurin. Like, would you take Tua and Terry McLaurin for Anthony Richardson?
Yeah, I would do it.
I think you might have to move up a little bit. I know Tua is really young, but if you want to try to avoid some of the health concerns and you want a little bit higher upside, maybe that's the type of trade you offer.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. But I know it seems unfeasible, but I do think that if you want, I think there are ways to make this work without giving up a slew of draft picks. Like,
Sure.
this is one of those moments, like where you said, Marcus, you have to take the maybe some of the aging assets that aren't going to be as useful to you in your quest for losses this year. Or, maybe these aren't players that you see as a long-term cornerstone of your offense, of your dynasty roster, and move on.
Well, my last question here on Anthony Richardson before we move on is, when do you trade for him? Do you do it now before the preseason starts and before we start to see him? Or do you wait until week 1 if he's not starting, right? Because if he's not starting, maybe the team that wants to be a little bit more competitive would be open to a Tua. Or do you wait even longer? Like, if he really struggles, or because I think there's a chance that if you wait until like week 3 and he just starts going crazy rushing the ball, you're just not going to be able to trade for him.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a very, very fine line. And I think that maybe some of this, like, I'm of the mindset that I think once we start to see Anthony Richardson on the field, whether that be in the preseason, whether that be in week 1 or week 2 or week 3, I think as soon as we see him on the field, even if he struggles as a passer, I think we're all expecting him to struggle as a passer. So
once you see him run the ball like 2 times, we're going to be that's my fear.
It's going to be, that is going to break the bank. So I do think that this is probably the right time to do it. Now, before we start to see a lot of these rushing opportunities, because again, I'm expecting him to struggle throwing the ball. It's not like he's got the best receiving core in the NFL here. So yeah, I'm going to expect some bumps in the road there. It's just once he breaks the bank with that first highlight play, ridiculous run, you're not going to be able to trade for him.
So you've got like 4 to 5 days to make this trade.
Yeah.
So go out and get Anthony Richardson now.
No rush.
If you want him. We've got one more quarterback that I want to talk about, Kate. It's Brock Purdy of the 49ers, who you are not excited about, but I am trading for him in every single league. Let's discuss him next. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is about to kick off, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to win all season long, because right now, when you bet on a Super Bowl winner, you can get bonus bets every single time they win in the regular season. Just pick any team to win the Super Bowl, and you'll get a bonus bet for every single victory. You can use your bonus bets on spreads, player props, over-unders, and so much more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and start earning bonus bets with America's #1 sportsbook. That is FanDuel.com/lockedon. We absolutely love FanDuel. I love betting on NFL futures, such as divisional bets, who's going to make the playoffs. Go check it out. It's FanDuel.com/lockedon. All right, Kate, the last quarterback that we're going to talk about here is Brock Purdy, who I am really excited about. He is going as QB 25. I think of all the quarterbacks that we've talked about today, he's my favorite if you're rebuilding because you're getting a quarterback on one of the best offenses in the league, tied with I think the best play caller in the league, and he doesn't even cost you QB2 prices. Why are you not sold on Brock Purdy?
I'm not sold on Brock Purdy just because I think the ceiling is a bit lower than any of us would really like to admit. Like, let's look at what he accomplished last year, right? Like, it was a viable fantasy asset through the remainder of your fantasy playoffs. Once he got the starting role, he was absolutely absurd. Threw touchdowns at a 7.6% clip. That is nuts. Crazy,
You don't think that's
crazy
sustainable?
efficient. I do not think that's sustainable. You know what? Like the production was fantastic, but the amount of production that came on the back of that efficiency makes me super uncomfortable. Finished just 2 of his 6 regular season games last year as a top 10 quarterback. His ceiling feels capped. And Marcus, what are just off the top of your head, what is the most rushing yards we saw out of Brock Purdy in a single game last year?
25?
16.
That's close.
That's
Listen, he's not going to give you rushing upside. I get that.
all production will come from his arm, which
But you are also talking about an offense that has Deebo Samuel, Brendan Ayuk, who seems like he is absolutely dominating trading camp, George Kittle, and they're finding ways to get Christian McCaffrey more involved in the passing game. Like, you couldn't build a better receiving core around him. He doesn't need the rushing production to be a viable QB2.
I think that's fair, but generally speaking, I don't think I'm looking to invest in the 49ers quarterbacks from now on. Because you know what? It's a rotating door, Marcus.
It is.
And I don't see stability in that offense because I think honestly the 49ers have almost done themselves a disservice with the quarterback friendly system that they've engineered. It's built their zone schemes are so perfect for generating yards after the catch. It's almost shot all of their quarterbacks in the foot because none of them can stand out over the others and they all look generally kind of replaceable.
Here's what I keep coming back to, Kate.
Maybe that's a bold take. I don't know.
Well, in 2018, when Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator of the Falcons, Matt Ryan threw for 4,900 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. Brock Purdy is not going to have those numbers. I'm just telling you, he's not. But could he have similar numbers if he starts all 17 games and all of the wide receivers and the tight ends stay healthy? I think so, just because his offense is so dynamic and there's so many great weapons. And I'm willing to pay QB 25 price tag to find out. And you know what I might even be willing to do is go trade for Brock Purdy, go sign Sam Darnold, or go pick up Sam Darnold in the waivers in your league, and even then go trade for Trey Lance. You can get all 3 of these quarterbacks outside of top QB 20 prices, and whoever starts, is going to put up really, really good numbers. I just think that's what I'm going to do with maybe the highest scoring offense in the league this season.
It's like a Build-A-Bear, but
yeah, I'm just going to take all the little pieces, add it together, and it's all going to be great.
I just don't know if that's the strategy I feel comfortable in a rebuild. I want to feel like I'm building a foundation, and I don't feel like we're ever going to feel like we're building a foundation with a 49ers quarterback just because it does. They say running backs are replaceable. Well, quarterbacks feel more replaceable in Kyle Shanahan's system than they do in any other system in the NFL. Now, you've got to close this out. Give us an example of some trades that you like involving Brock Purdy. What are you willing to pay up for Brock Purdy we're assuming, a super flex league?
I would pay top 16 QB prices just in general.
You're wildin', man.
Well, here's the thing. If you just take the quarterbacks that started last year for the 49ers, you can just combine all of their stats together. Okay, this is Jimmy Garoppolo, who started 10 games. This is Brock Purdy.
A quarterback.
Build a quarterback. Brock Purdy, who started 5. And Trey Lance, who started 2 games, right? You just combine all their stats together. It's almost 4,100 passing yards, 30 touchdowns, 9 interceptions passing, and then you add in the rushing, and it's a little bit more. But if I told you right now, Brock Purdy is going to have 30 touchdowns and 9 interceptions this year with 4,200 passing yards, where would you rank him?
Knowing that he has no rushing upside, I
mean, okay, he's probably going to have, what do we want to say, 200 rushing yards?
That might be optimistic.
150 rushing yards? Jimmy Garoppolo had 33 rushing yards, 33 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns last year.
I think Jimmy Garoppolo might have more rushing upside than Brock Purdy. Not to say Brock Purdy can't move. He can move around the pocket. I just don't think his tendencies are to scramble outside of the pocket. He's not a runner. And so that gives me pause, because even in the best circumstances, I see that I would project that as QB and low end QB1 finish, where we're just, you know what? You did your best, Marcus.
I didn't do it.
You didn't sell me, but listen, I want to hear, did you convert any of our everydayers? That's what I want to know.
Do want to point out really quickly before we go, if you're going to do the Build-A-Bear strategy with the 49ers quarterback, Sam Darnold did run for 5 touchdowns and 11 starts in 2021.
Darnold, that's some rushing upside, man.
That's my strategy. I don't think it's going to be Trey Lance. I'm kind of giving up on Trey Lance. I want Purdy and Sam Darnold as my 2 quarterbacks to kind of cobble together as the QB2. I'm in on Brock Purdy. I'm in. Give me Brock Purdy at QB 25 prices. That is it for today's show. We want to thank you for making Locked On Dynasty your first listen every day. Everydayers. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about our favorite rebuilding running back targets. So make sure you tune in then. We are free and available on all platforms. Go check out our show on YouTube. Go follow Kate on Twitter at Kate Majuk. I'm at Marcus_Mosher. We'll see you guys right back here tomorrow.